Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
It is a brand new month, September. I always love new months. Isn't it nice?
New months, new episodes.
Fresh starts.
I'm personally not a fan of August, so I'm always glad to see it gone. It's the hottest month. It's a back to school month. There's a lot of things going against August.
Get slightly offended as a man who was born in August, but I
You
get your
know,
point.
Yeah.
I,
Aside from my mother's birthday, Garrett's birthday, problem is August is like anti-June.
what birthday? What was the
like
first birthday you said?
my
Yeah,
mom.
mama.
Oh, your mom's. Okay.
So June is that first month of the real first month of summer. Cause like May, and when you were younger, you're still getting out of school. And that's still the case up through like college and sometimes. But June's like the first, like, hey, there's nothing going on this month.
Yeah.
Movies left and right. It's warm, all that. August is like, no, it's over.
Reality's creeping in August.
But I feel like the movies that were starting off September fit that aesthetic. Now that you mention
It does
that,
fit.
this one's a very back
back
to
to school.
school kind of a situation.
Yeah. So September, new month, new movies. We're doing.
Thanks for everybody who participated in our Pick a Pit, though. That was a lot of fun.
Yes. We're very glad to have that. Hopefully you all enjoyed our divisive Burn After Reading review. If you missed it, it's back in the feed, SoManySequels.com. We had a lot of fun doing Brad Pitt movies all August. So now in September, we're going to do Pitch Perfect to celebrate the franchise's 10-year anniversary. Pitch Perfect came out 10 years ago, spawns 3 movies and a soon-to-be TV show. So we thought, you know what? Let's go back to 2012 and dive deep into the Glee-inspired a cappella craze of the 2010s. Because it was real.
It was real.
It was real.
So Pitch Perfect, like I said, came out in 2012, has a pretty solid cast of performers. You got Anna Kendrick leading the show, Brittany Snow, Anna Camp, Rebel Wilson, Skylar Astin, Ben Platt, Adam Devine, Elizabeth Banks. A pretty solid cast of comedic actors and musical performers. So for either of you, was this the first time watching it?
It was not.
It was not your first time.
It wasn't my first time, but it was my first time paying attention.
It was close enough to your first time, so
Yeah.
you lead the way and describe us your thoughts as a relative newcomer.
Sure. Yeah. So 2012, Garrett was not interested in Pitch Perfect whatsoever. Mostly it was a musical. It was probably in the realm of like chick flick that he would have thought at that point in time. So let's just get that out there now. That's why I haven't paid much attention to it. But I really enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun. I think that this is an example of a perfectly cast group of an ensemble who are let to do what they're meant to do. I mean, Elizabeth Banks, and I can never remember his name as a person, but the second announcer who is just
John Michael Higgins.
John Michael Higgins, who is just a comedic genius in everything that he ever does, in my opinion. Those two, perfect. They just go off of each other. They continue to it just go off the rails, and they are so funny in every single way. Rebel Wilson in her role, perfect. Anna Camp in her role, perfect. Anna Kendrick in her role, perfect. Like everybody is just so perfectly cast and they do such a good job. I think watching it, I said it gives me very Bring It On vibes where it takes this sport that isn't a football or a baseball or a basketball. It's not a major sport, but it gives it that major sport theme. And to me, that's really funny. But it's also connectable because that is something that these people are passionate about. So of course they would have that same kind of passion. You just don't think of it that way. And so it provides you a comedic situation too. And to be a little over the top and leans into it, much like Paul Blart Mall Cop knows itself well enough to be what it is. This movie knows itself to be what it is and really just steers into it. And it was a lot of fun.
And it wasn't afraid to be weird.
No,
So-
it's not. No, what did you think, David? When did you first see it? When did it came out?
Oh, no, not in theaters when it came out. I'm going to say I probably saw it sometime in 2013. Probably once it was on Blu-ray or might have been streaming. I don't know if it would have been streaming at that point. My wife was at the time teaching in Owasso, and I think she had like these debate kids, and so like they wanted to watch it, and so like they or something like that. Some friends that she had that were like way too young for me to be hanging out with, they came over to have like she was like their sponsor for the night or something like that, and we watched Pitch Perfect. So I watched Pitch Perfect with its demo, and they loved it. And I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed it too because
I'm surprised,
I'm
honestly.
I'm a sucker for music in movies. Like I just get into it. I'm a sucker for mashup songs. So the
Yeah.
whole riff off scene to me is like, I wish I was that creative. And I don't know if anybody's ever, I don't know. I've never actually done the time to like look up and see, do people do riff offs? Cause that sounds like it would be wildly entertaining to
James
like
Corden does on the Late Late Show sometimes.
start singing and then someone has to pick it up. They have to be listening for a certain lyric that they know they can pick up on. It's just so cool. Like you said, I mean, no one in this, I believe nobody here, this was their first movie, but definitely this is a movie that put a lot of these younger actresses and even like Adam Devine, I don't know about how you could say Ben Platt, but Ben Platt kind of on the map in terms of movies. I got to say, I know Ben Platt's had his issues recently with people who are talking to him, but when his character gets to join the group, I was like, you got me. You got me. All right. He came out and he goes, I got the magic. I was like, I was like, genius, genius, roses. And that said, I do have a flaw with this movie that I have a hard time reconciling, but it doesn't kill the movie. Like I still really wildly enjoy it. There's a choice they make towards the end, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't like that. All right, okay, fine. Well, and we can talk about it in a minute. But I like this movie. I love rewatching it. I love the songs. I love the mashups. When she starts, what is it? When they're doing Ace of Base for the 18th time, and she like sneaks in. Well, I don't remember what it is. She sneaks in titanium or something
Yeah.
like that. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. The sort of forced relationship in a lot of ways between Anna Kendrick and gosh, what's the other guy's name? Young Zachary Levi.
Skylar Aston.
Skylar Aston.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who thinks that or no? Yeah. Is that it?
I did not think it felt forced.
I didn't think it, but I always appreciate
was-
the Zachary Levi mention.
To me, it feels like like from the moment the two walk on screen together, you're like, okay, yeah, all right, well, they're gonna do this then. This is gonna be the couple. This is the couple for the movie, right? But
Gotta have the couple.
it was, and they're hanging out in the college radio station, which is as three people who worked at a college radio station.
At that time.
At that time.
Really feel very reminiscent of our college radio station, but maybe this was. But then again, we worked for the only public college radio station in Oklahoma, and so this might be a station that only goes out to the campus, a la OU or other
Sure.
schools, and not one that actually goes on the public airwaves.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching it again.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot too. I always have. I genuinely can't remember if I saw it in the theater or not, but I'm certain I saw it very close to when it came out if I didn't. Because it checks all my boxes too. I mean, I'm also a good sucker for mashups. I love when music is well incorporated into a movie. I wanted to laugh and interrupt you, David, but I didn't because, you famously have an issue with musicals.
Right.
But this is a music movie.
Yes.
Which is different. So I appreciated the distinction you made there because, yeah, it's not a musical, but it is a music movie
It is a
that is
movie.
performance-based at times.
Right.
And I
It's very
think those
theater
were-
based, very drama based, and that's your two's wheelhouse.
It is. It's very much my background. I wish I didn't really do a lot of singing in college.
Yes,
but
I
it
didn't.
was-
I wasn't a choir or a
Glee.
acapella kid, but I didn't. But I was a theater kid, and I did enjoy Glee for at least a couple seasons. So this, like I said, this was perfect for me, and I really love what the cast does with this. There's so many layers to every character. I think one of my favorite things is, and I'm kind of saying this as I'm thinking it out loud and haven't had the chance to figure out how to not make this seem offensive toward Anna Kendrick, but Anna Kendrick does not exude I'm the cool kid,
like too
she's
cool for
more
school.
of the quiet, hidden in the corner type, and she both is the kind of general school outcast and also the cool rebel of the Barton Bellas. So that I love that layering they do
That was-
there.
Yeah.
And then of course all of the exaggerated impacts of being involved in a college club are on full display here, and I
Yeah.
love that. They are basically the foundations of a sorority or a fraternity. The Greek life is more of what they kind of deal with more than a regular group because they've got the weird rituals and you want to talk about forced friendships. A lot of them are forced friendships, at least in the beginning,
Mhm.
before they kind of come together a little more. But man, I just love seeing that on display because I think a core concept of the college experience is being involved in some kind of competitive group or something like that. And believing in your soul that nothing else matters.
Nothing else.
Nothing else matters
We are the
but
only
this
thing.
group that you're dedicated to.
Yes.
And that's how they are. Nothing matters to these girls
Right.
in the Bellas. Nothing. The guys in the what do they even call themselves?
Troublemaker.
Troublemakers.
Troublemaker.
They live for this too. Like
Yeah.
when you are an a cappella kid at this school, it is everything to you. And they
Yeah.
really leaned into that. And I believed it.
And that's every school club /
It's
organization.
truly
There's
every
an
school
element
club.
of like, and every group it is now. You get more here. You get like 8, 10 girls, I guess, young women. Most of the time, it's like you get 20 people in a group, and like 3 of them really care, and then the rest are just kind of like there for it. But those 3, I might be one of those. But you're sitting there, you're like, we're the reason this school still exists. Like we're holding this school upright.
Yeah.
It's that kind of
Bellas.
those kind of mentalities that you get. The Barton Bellas, the Troublemakers, they both think that way. That's pretty.
My 2 flaws with this movie, David, to get into that now are one, it's as much fun as it is. It is unbelievable to me that there can be 4 a cappella groups that are that competitive on a college campus. I just don't believe that's the case. You could give me a 2, but you can't have me a 4, and they had at least 4. And the other one is that you had McLovin in there, and I know I hate calling him McLovin, but that's what I'm gonna call him because that's what everybody knows. But he was like king man of the auditions, and he ain't sing once, and I have a problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it comes down to a very key thing. So, like you said, Josh, she's too cool, right? There's a little bit of like, I don't even watch movies. I don't even like
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm
what's a
too cool
film?
for movies.
There's a little bit of like she's overly pretentious, but she's also the rebel girl, and so that's not really my problem. But I wanted to pick up on that after you
I
said
also love that that Becca is like too cool for movies, but also mashes up like the most mainstream, generic top 40 pop song she could find. You can't have it both ways, Becca.
So for me, the crux comes down to the very end of the movie. The fatal flaw for me, maybe not fatal, but the flaw for me is the Bellas have a very, in my opinion, I think a very admirable mission statement, which is they want to highlight women's music. And unfortunately, they've gotten stagnated in only doing certain specific songs, older songs that aren't exciting. The newest song they have is Ace of Base, I Saw the Signs, and they sing it as their opener every time and they never advance. So they get together after these, series of events that make them stronger as a unit, right? They get together and they're like, we have to change. We have to be new. And what's the first thing they decide to sing? Bruno Mars. And then what is their final act? It's Don't You Forget About Me, which is a male-led song. It's Jessie J's It's All About the Money. So you do keep that. And then what's the other one they start with? I can't remember. It's another man's song. And I was like, that's kind of, I find that a little bit unfortunate because I think that the goal of hey, let's highlight women's music because we're an all-female group is good, but just freshen it up. Jessie J's It's All About the Money, great. Have rap, have hip hop, have incorporating mashups is cool. But I don't feel like they had to completely abandon their idea to be like, well, we're not cool. Nobody likes us. Let's start singing guy music now because that's what wins is guy music. So let's sing Bruno Mars and let's sing a bunch of, things like that. Now, and it, tied to that, oh, we need to be new and fresh. Let's sing a song from a movie from the 1980s. That'll really like freshen up our style. But in the end, I mean, it's a great mashup. I don't have a problem with that. But I just felt like they kind of sold a little bit of what made them, I think, special in order to modernize. And that's kind of like, I just find that's unfortunate from a character choice, but it doesn't kill the movie. Like I said, it just stood out to me when I was watching. I was like, oh, that kind of stinks. But what do you guys think of that? Am I overreaching with that?
No, I don't think you're overreaching. I think maybe there's something to that. My gut instinct is that they just didn't think about it.
I say
But you do make a good point that they
That's
switched
what my
to
thought is.
male-dominated music in the end.
Yeah, and I think that, taking the story and adding a little more depth to it, I think again that, this movie leans towards comedic rather than certain depth of story, but I do think that would have been a good thing to carry on because you're right. I think even from a storytelling perspective, had they come out to the old Bard and Bellas and done the same thing and changed it up, and you see these new mashups that they incorporate after you expect the old, and it is the female fronted music that they talked about. I do think that is an important thing that, I didn't recognize it, but I do think that is a good thing to call out because you're right. They go out of their way to say that they do female fronted music and then they drop that. So either don't use
With the
that or,
with
incorporate it throughout the whole thing. I agree.
and the response from the judges and from the announcers is, "Oh, hey, they're cool now." The other one is they do "Give Me Everything" by Pitbull as a part of that final mashup that they do. So it's like you have "Price Tag" by Jesse J. I think I said all about the money before. "Price Tag" by Jesse J. But then you have it's mixed in with two men songs, and I'm like, wow, this is a
Well,
really
and you can even
real
incorporate
exciting
those
new
older
ballad.
songs
You know
that
what I
they
mean?
did. Yeah, you can
So
incorporate those older songs that they did traditionally with the more modern female fronted songs too, and you still have a good, cool, modern mashup that
mm.
I do think that's a fair critique.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't kill the movie because I mean, from whether it's Anna Kendrick rapping "No Diggity" or it's gosh, there's a part where I really like when Skylar, what is it, Skylar Levi, when he sings "Feels Like the First Time." I was like, man, he nailed that. He nailed that. And then I always like to imagine that part of the inspiration was if you guys ever saw the University of Oregon's a cappella group On the Rocks went viral with this Lady Gaga performance that they did on campus. And
Put
I
it in the
like
show
to think,
notes.
huh? Yes, we will definitely we can do that. There is a guy, there is a main like a lead guy who does most of the Lady Gaga parts that I feel like is the direct inspiration for Adam Devine's character, but I've never been able to confirm that anywhere. But it's just because I feel like you don't go cast Adam Devine when unless you're trying to replicate this dude who's at the center because he's kind of got this kind of I don't know bigger chin kind of thing. I don't know. That video was very funny at the time, and On the Rocks is still a very good a cappella group.
I'm excited to
What
look
I
for it.
understand.
One thing I wanted to talk about, because it surprised me a little bit looking back on it, is the absolute chokehold that the Cup song had on the zeitgeist, considering that it barely exists in this movie. She
Yeah.
uses it as a audition song in one small scene, and then this song went on to do crazy. It reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it Anna Kendrick's first top 10 hit.
Yeah.
It also hit the top 30 in Canada, Ireland, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. This song that barely exists in the movie. And I also want to point out that this is that's pretty much all radio play. Spotify is less than a year old at this point. Apple Music doesn't exist. Streaming music is not really a thing.
Yeah.
So, whoa.
I think that
Why is
Yeah.
that song
It
so crazy popular?
I mean,
it's the cups. It's 100% the cups. People want to do the cups. They want to listen to the cups. They like the experience of the cups, and they
I
want to
think
do it, so they want to hear it, and then they want to play along.
from a film from the perspective of the film and the viewers of the film, I think there's an authenticity to it, right? Because like she's not I mean, they're all technically singing a cappella, right? Even though they play music for the Since You've Been Gone segment, but they're all singing this in their head, like, a cappella, but like she comes out, she doesn't like make a big show of herself and she's just going to play on the cups, right? Old campground entertainment, right? Something authentic about it. And it's very sweet. And it's probably, I don't know, for whatever reason, it hooked in there and it transformed Anna Kendrick from an actress who can sing to now like a pop star.
Quite the superstar.
And
They also had her go out and perform this song on David Letterman, The Tonight Show, and Saturday Night Live.
was she playing
Wow.
cups the whole time or was she just,
I don't know if she was playing cups the whole time, but
Yeah. I mean, and it's not a bad song. I enjoy it.
no.
Had this been the early 2000s or the late 90s, with this kind of success, she would have released a pop CD.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And
I
I'm
would've-
glad she did not do that. I'm very glad she did
Bad.
not do that. But
It is-
she definitely would have.
It is too bad that her character is not a real person because I always wanted to hear this song mashed up with Philip Phillips's Gone, 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 just because of because they both use the word gone a lot. But,
Anna Kendrick's recording career seems to be exclusively between Pitch Perfect and the Trolls franchise.
It is. I mean, and she's gone on. I mean, like this movie, like basically, like anybody who was like, "Oh, we're making a a musical or maybe she's just got it. Like she's done like what? I feel like 10 or 12, if not more, just outside the Pitch Perfect franchise, like musical type stuff since then.
She's done a lot of musical film. I mean, she did, yeah, that, Into the Woods, the Trolls movies.
The Christmas movie where she sang, I'm pretty sure.
Noel.
When Bill Hader. Noel, yeah. Yeah.
So,
You know, I'm excited to get into the next two because this will be, I mean, it will be my first experience with Pitch Perfect 2 and 3. So I have never seen those.
I think I've seen parts of Pitch Perfect too. I also love to give a shout out to some other people. I do love the sort of supporting cast. I like how all of
Oh, God, yeah.
all of the women in the Bellas are like completely different from one another. Like you could make an argument that Anna Camp and Brittany Snow are, similar. They're similar enough. They're like the most experienced members, but like, yeah, Hannah Mae Lee, Esther Dean, Alexis Knapp. They're like, they couldn't be more different as characters. And that's what makes it so fun. It's very fun that Esther Dean gets to sing the song she wrote that Rihanna recorded, which is the Whips and Chains song, whatever. I can't remember the title, but she wrote that song. And Rihanna picked it up. Rihanna picked it up and made it a huge hit. So that's kind of fun that she got to sing her own song in a movie. I also really like Erkan. I can't say his last name. I'm going to avoid saying his last name. But he was the one who was doing sort of like the beatboxing and the rapping for the Troublemakers. That dude's just cool.
He's currently in the CBS show Ghosts, and he has been in a lot of supporting cast stuff, and he is truly funny and just very, like, his comedic timing, because he can do things like this. In Ghost, he plays more of the straight man, but he's still very comedic, and he's also very strong, just overall.
Yeah. He was great in ABC's Muppets.
Who was it?
Remember that? He was
a great show.
He was like, I think
that show.
he was an analyst. He was like a social media analyst that came in to try to spice up the show for them. I really liked, even though it only ran for one season, ABC's Muppets was pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, let's shift it into box office gear.
Man, it feels like we've only just started. Here we go.
I know.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all really enjoy this movie. I'd recommend it. Man, to take a trip to the Wayback Machine here, September 28th of 2012 is when this movie opened. It initially opened to, in a limited release, only 330 theaters, to 5 million, which was good for the number 6 spot. Also opening that weekend was Hotel Transylvania, which opened with 42 million. And the number 2 spot, Looper, Rian Johnson's time travel
stinker.
Yeah, movie.
Not a fan of
I had my issues with it at the time, but I kind of feel like I should go rewatch it because I've become such a huge Rian Johnson fan since then. End of Watch was number 3 with 7.8. And then Trouble with the Curve.
That sounds like a Dead Dog movie. Is that what that is?
End of Watch. I don't know.
You keep going. I'm going to find out.
No. So this is the movie. I'm going to get so much heck for saying this. End of Watch was like a propaganda movie.
Oh, okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, where on the cover of no shoot, Jake Gyllenhaal looks like Barack Obama. It's like the most off-putting image I've ever seen. But if you look up the poster for End of Watch, Jake Gyllenhaal looks like Barack Obama in a propaganda movie.
I see what you're talking about and agree with your use of the word propaganda.
And then at number 5 was House at the End of the Street. So that was its limited release. Now, the next weekend, it would get a wide release to 2,000 theaters, where it would go on to finish in the number 3 spot with 14 million. So a big jump up from its limited release. Also in the theaters that weekend, this will take you back, Taken 2 and Frankenweenie.
Taken again.
Well, you've taken my wife and children again. Yeah. So for the year of so Pitch Perfect would go on to finish with $65 million in the United States, 50.3 million overseas, for a worldwide total of $115 million on a budget of just 17 million. You got to think probably a good chunk of that went to the actors, sure, but probably a lot of that went to music rights to get them in like perpetuity. So that is good enough for Pitch Perfect to finish, I believe, in the number 50 something spot in, here it is, the number 48 spot domestically and the number 66 spot internationally. Of course, it was 2012, so the number 1 movie, both domestically and internationally that year, was The Avengers, followed by the likes of The Dark Knight, Hunger Games, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, The Amazing Spider-Man, Brave. Those are fun. The movies from 2012. We've done some of these. We've done Men in Black 3. We've done Men in Black 3. You can go listen to our review of that. Because it was also the year Django Unchained came out, Josh, and we played freaking those Django Unchained songs like crazy on our
college radio station. Yeah.
It was
We did
that
not
was
play
kinda
back as
fun.
mixes. All right. Cool. Well, what do we want to guess the Letterbox community has rated this movie? While y'all think about it, here's a few of the top reviews on Letterboxd. We've got the Sacapellas, who are the Muppet Group, and Snow Ballad. I need Jesse's Letterboxd username right now, please. Why? What is the best scene in all of cinema, and why is it the Since You've Been Gone audition scene?
Yeah, I really like that scene too.
what, what feels gay and homophobic at the same time? And then finally, perhaps the most confusing one to me is a 5-star review that only says Anna Kendrick is this generation's Jack Nicholson.
Well, I'll allow it to be said, but we'll have to go.
With silence, met with
Have
silence.
to go.
Yeah, I don't understand what they're going for.
there. I had to go.
I'd like to see the peer review, please.
I forgot one final review. People who can't enjoy this movie are boring and pretentious. I don't make the rules. Okay, so with that said,
Luckily, we're all good there.
yeah.
Gary, you go first.
3.6. I think it's going to be at 3.6.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to say because I assume that, like me, most people like this. I assume that it's kind of a darling. Maybe there's a bunch of people out there that are haters. I'm gonna guess it's a. You said 3.6.
Yep.
I'm gonna guess it's a 3.3.
Ooh, okay.
That was my other one, but I went on the high side.
I mean, I definitely think we're probably in the right ballpark because I would have to agree that it seems like people like it, but I wouldn't expect it to. I wouldn't expect it to reach to 4 status,
Right.
but I wouldn't expect it to be much lower than 3 either. So, what did you say? You said 3.3, David?
Yeah.
I guess I'll undercut you a tiny bit and say 3.1.
Ooh, okay. So we might have tiebreakers. So I'm
We
gonna.
might. Okay, let me go back and look at the review. Okay. Well, we don't have a direct hit this time. And fortunately, we will not need a tiebreaker because the person who won is just 0.1 off, and that is David, because the score is 3.4. You guys 3.3.
Yes. And here
So
we
you
with
got it
3.6. Hey,
this time.
Good
And
job.
even by Price is Right rules, you would win.
Back in the saddle for me. It's been a good year for me. I'll just put that out there. I won't give away the final scores.
I'm glad.
Been a
Glad
good
it's been
year
a
for
good
me in the letterbox game.
In the last few minutes of the show here, we, as in like, I don't know, movie fans, just recently celebrated National Cinema Day, which was a big, huge joint venture by like a bunch of indie movie houses as well as the big corporations, AMC, Regal Cinemark, to do $3 tickets on September 3rd. And from what it looks like, a lot of people took advantage of that. Did you guys take advantage of that at all?
I did not.
You did not.
I did indeed. I saw The Invitation, which is a PG-13 horror movie, and it was a great $3 watch.
That is cryptic. Okay.
What about you, Josh?
So I went and saw a movie called Funny Pages at Circle Cinema, which is it seems to be, I haven't read much about the movie in terms of like, I hadn't read about it at all. I just looked up the synopsis and went, I'll watch that. So I don't know about how in terms of if it was a big release or not, but it's an A24 like coming of age film about this senior in high school who is really into comic book drawing, but he's obsessed with like, he doesn't like superhero comics. He's like deep into comic nerddom, and some traumatic things happen, as is wont to happen in coming of age tales, and you just get to watch him kind of deal with the end of his public school career and the beginning of him trying to be a comic book artist. So it was interesting, to say the least. It's probably not what folks would expect based on what I described, but I enjoyed it well enough. It was also a good $3 watch.
It was interesting. I like I said, didn't go. We're kind, and I honestly didn't feel like there was anything that I really wanted to see.
There's not. That's why they picked that day.
I know, and I was
100%.
like, I could see something again, but
That's why the top of the box office is
I'd rather watch-
Spider-Man and Top Gun.
I'd rather watch the Hogs dominate Cincinnati. They didn't, but they beat them, and then I watched some other stuff that maybe Garrett and I could talk about some other time.
Oh,
And,
Clash of Clans or whatever the hell you watch.
Clash of Clans, the classic mobile RPG game.
It was Clash of something, wasn't it?
Was
I knew I was close. All right. Well, you all could talk about that on a different show. For everyone else, find us online at somanysequels.com. Follow us on social, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, quick breakings of our.
Oh,
Perfect. We didn't do that real quick.
Oh,
3.5.
also 3.5.
Woo! I'm gonna go high 4.
Here we go.
Wow.
Half a star or full star for full enjoyment, though.
I totally forgot about the part where we rate the show or the movie.
Hey, we got
We're bad at that part too.
Yeah, I know.